Phil Barber, Santa Rosa Press, Democrat. There have been times when Kevin was ball dominant in this postseason and his shots didn't always go in and you lost games and everybody was talking about that Kevin's got the ball too much. And there's times like last night when, you know, he's a godsend for you guys in that regard. What's the balance you try to strike there, and, you know, when does it work and when does it not, other than shots just going in?
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it? The bottom line is in the playoffs, the game gets much more difficult for everybody. It's just harder to get a shot off. And you can see that across the board on both teams. And as you go through the playoffs, you see different teams, different matchups. Everyone poses a different threat. And there are just a handful of guys in the NBA who can kind of get their shot whenever they want. And Kevin happens to be one, and he happens to be 6'11" with long arms. You know, it's almost unfair what he can do. But yeah, there's you know, there have been moments where, you know, everybody was talking about how our offense had ground to a halt. Well, that's because of good defense generally. It's not because we're not trying to move the ball. But I think what he's done a great job of in this series is attacking quickly. You know, he's not holding the ball for long. He's catching and making a decision and putting the defense on its heels. And he's been brilliant, obviously.
Second row again.
Trista Crick, USA Today Sports. Steve, I'm not sure if you saw the news on Brian Colangelo that he'll resign. As a former front office staff member, I'm curious as to your thoughts on how to use social media in that position, knowing that it can be great for a career and it can also really harm one, as we've seen.
Well, I won't comment on that situation in particular. But I learned pretty quickly. You know, I used to be in television and tweeted all the time, and I learned pretty quickly as a coach I'm better off just retweeting interesting articles that I see and then leaving everything else to someone else. And I've made a couple mistakes. You know, it's a dangerous game. You know, even, you know, something seemingly innocuous you tweet, and all of a sudden that comes back to haunt you. I think years ago when I was working at TNT, I tweeted something about, you know, if I could have one player on the road for a Game 7, it would be LeBron James. You think any Cavs fans might have reminded me of that tweet, you know, several years afterwards? So, yeah, I think in general, when you're in this position, it's best to avoid that stuff as best you can.
And tell your loved ones to keep burner accounts to a minimum as well.
That was your comment, not mine.